I'd say I probably realized when I was maybe 12 or 13 that and I wouldn't say that I knew I was gay, but that I knew I would rather hang out with my female friends than hang out with the guys. There was kind of a cutoff that I saw my future as being with a man and being married and having a family. So that was always, that was where my future was going. And I guess it was a process more during high school, probably when I was 15 and 16, realizing that's not going to be your future. And I think that was probably when the struggle with coming out began. I'd say I was closeted probably the last 3 years of high school. I would have been in the closet because at that point I knew I was different. I knew that I wanted to be with girls, but on the outside I just lived this you know, very heterosexual, a good student, good athlete, doing the perfect, you know, just kind of, it all looked really perfect on the outside, I think, and I was really sad on the inside. And I know that did seep out a little bit, at least at home, because after I came out to my brothers, one of my brothers said to me, "So this is why you were always so sad." When I actually first came out to somebody else was not till university. And that was a very big moment for me, to actually say it out loud, because then it became real, and then it became a trajectory I needed to follow, or I could follow.
We actually met in Adelaide, where I was studying my master's degree in classical music, and Kelly was doing a 6-month abroad exchange student semester. I was actually much older than Kelly was when I realised that I was attracted to women. I was about halfway through my undergraduate degree when I started kind of having attractions towards other women in my course. But I didn't act upon it. After I finished my undergraduate degree, I moved to Adelaide to do my master's degree, and similar to Kelly, going to a new school gives you the freedom to kind of change. That's when I went, okay, now I'm going to come out, and hopefully I'm going to, you know, meet a girl. And after I'd done that, I realised, actually, you know, I am still attracted to men and women. So the harder thing was actually realising that I was bisexual. At the time I was thinking, how can you be attracted to both? You've got to choose one or the other, but you don't have to choose. You can be attracted to both men and women, and it took a long time for me to realise that.
Yeah, and it was interesting, I guess, when we met, I had never been with someone who was bisexual, and I think Kylie, because she was older and had thought through that a bit more, was kind of asking me, is that an issue for you? And I didn't know. I said, I'm not sure, I don't think it is. I guess I took the attitude of, if we're together, I don't want you to be with anyone else, a man or a woman. As long as you're with me, and that's fine, we're together, and we don't need to define things beyond that. As soon as Kylie finished her degree, she came over to the US. The US government wouldn't allow me to sponsor Kylie as my partner. And we looked down a few avenues, and it was basically Kylie couldn't remain in the country. And there was definitely anger on my part at that my own country doesn't accept me and my partner. That anger gave me the power to leave everything I knew behind to come to Australia. I don't know if marriage for us would change a lot in that kind of legal, financial way, but it's more about how symbolic it would be if we could get married. Yeah. I think that's why it's important to us. And I think it's, in the beginning, we didn't think it was as important. I think we kind of talked about it and said, oh, it doesn't matter as much. And it's just over the years, I guess, as we've become closer together and started a family, or thinking about starting a family, it just becomes really important, I think, to be recognized as an equal couple to the other families around you. Yeah. So still having to say my partner instead of my wife, where, you know, Kylie is at the status of my wife.
Having a child is something Kelly has wanted for a very long time, and I have been kind of not against the idea, but it wasn't what I necessarily wanted in life. My career trajectory had always been that I would become a performing artist, but that didn't happen, and once I'd kind of come to terms with that and found myself a different career path, I started to think more about home and family and started to kind of come around to the idea and finally said, okay, let's do it.
So yeah, we started the process actually through a clinic, and we're going to go down the IVF track. While we were going through that, we were talking about it one day with a friend of ours, and he just looked at us and said, why are you doing that? I would be a donor. And so in the end, we took several months to work through it all together to make sure we were all happy with it. And then, yeah, we did a home insemination. And almost 6 months ago, little baby boy Evan was born.
Our donor is a really wonderful guy. You know, we just make sure that we're keeping him up to date with Evan's progress and what he's doing, and that he gets to come over and cuddle Evan, as you know, fairly regularly.
So we wrote a contract so that we had that as a basis, and it has minimums of contact, but it's much more fluid. And sometimes it'll be, you know, 2 weekends in a row that he would come over, and we'd be happy for it to be more. Having Mother's Group in Williamstown has been really wonderful as well. I didn't know how I would be accepted into Mother's Group, but I've just had a beautiful response from our Mother's Group, and that's made it so much easier. I think they've all just reacted to us like everyone has a story about starting their family, and ours is just one unique story amongst everyone else's story.
Living in the West is really wonderful, actually.
There's a sense of safety that we feel, that we can walk down the street and we've never felt unsafe as a gay couple. I think there's a lot of diversity in the West. I think that there's a lot of pride. Not being from Australia, from Melbourne, when I moved here, I didn't know about the West, that there was kind of, you know, a little bit of a rivalry, or you don't go over the bridge to the West. But I think we feel a real pride when we tell people that we live in the West. Children aren't born with discrimination, so Evan knows that he has mommy and mama, and that's all he knows, and that's all he's going to know until he goes to school or goes to kinder and meets other children. And I think if we just can raise him so that he feels confidence in himself and love for himself and respect for others, that he'll be able to face whatever difficulties he may have at school. When other people start to point out to him that you're a bit different, I hope that he can take that in a positive light and say, oh, well, yeah, maybe I am, and actually see that as something to be, you know,
to be proud of.
And something like, yeah, I'm a bit different than the others, and not take it in a negative way. Every person is different, every story is unique, every life story is unique, and if you just approach each person that way in life and get to know them, then there probably wouldn't be as many barriers between people.